Another weekend in the books. GM. Adam, how are you feeling today? We're talking about the OG protocol, or at least one of the OG protocols on Bitcoin, as everything is just absolutely going up and to the right on Bitcoin.
Bro, how can you not feel good when the timeline is this bullish, man? It's like this is like man, it's amazing how quickly this happened, and I don't know what the catalyst was, but the bullish vibes are just you just got to enjoy it while it lasts, because tomorrow it might be totally different. But boy, it feels good to be in crypto right now, man. It feels like we're smart again.
I read right before this, and I think this is still a rumor, but apparently the walk up from 20K to what are we at, 43K right now for Bitcoin, has been the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia by spending 500 billion on Bitcoin as a point.
Is that literally true? Is that confirmed?
No, I saw it in one of the publications. I don't think it's confirmed yet, but
okay.
Now everyone's just making accusations, right? Saudis are buying, wasn't that the meme, like all bear market?
Well, dummies like me are like, well, maybe I'll sell and then I'll buy back in it, when it hits 25 again. It's like, no, stop it, McBride. Put your keys away. Don't do a god dang thing, you dummy. So yeah, just reminder, guys, most of us are not smart enough to play these kind of like sell buy games. We get wrecked. So almost everybody we know, I, and almost everybody who's gotten really wealthy in crypto is just sat. Do nothing. Just hold on to those bags, man.
I'm absolutely terrible at holding fungible coins.
Bro, I'm seeing this stuff mooning. I'm seeing Ordi and Doji and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, Jake is literally a billionaire right now, because Jake was buying this stuff day one. Jake, when is the private island ready? Can I help you pick the island out, brother? What's going on, man?
Well, I came from, 2016, the school of thought's like, just keep trying to get 10Xs and then just keep trying to multiply those 10Xs. And ultimately the 10Xs go like 1,000X. You're like, man, I should but that's okay. It's all about the friends we made along the way. Like Chris, man, what's good, bro? How are you feeling?
Yo, Jake with the banger intro music. So, the show's going to be hot. Ton of energy in the ecosystem. Counterparty community coming out strong. Love to see it. Love to see it. Yeah. Ton of hype right now. And like Adam said, feels good to be in crypto. So, we're finally smart again. We've got a couple months to be smart. Soon we'll be idiots again. So just waiting on that.
Yeah, I feel it. One of our special guests, I still do not see him on the stage at all. But Adam, Dogfather, what's good, bro? You are one of our counterparty experts for almost the entire year. Crazy, we've been doing the show almost a year already, man. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, like everyone. So to me, there was no bear market because ordinals were popping and ripping, and even with a quieter period in summer, still we had lots of stuff to do, to build, to learn. So to me, that was a cool year. Not just the last pump like October, November. Of course, it feels better if we are like beyond 40K. But so I had a lot of time and learning stuff, and also teaching people about and educating people about Counterparty who were like more joining the ordinal space and the ordinal train. So yeah, it's a fun ride.
I heard some an interesting number on a space right before I jumped in today, and I haven't confirmed it yet, but this guy was saying that in 21 during the bull, 98% of all NFTs were being traded on Ethereum type of thing. And now it's like literally 1-for-1 the amount of dollar value of NFTs being traded on Bitcoin compared to ETH, which I thought was a really interesting development. And obviously we've all been here for this, the rise of ordinals and so on and so forth. So it's exciting times. Feels like it's coming home, honestly.
Yeah, I think the infrastructure is still a little bit further away. Right. A lot of this, everyone does meme a lot about the IPFS kind of joke, right? Leo kind of drags on this a lot, but on the other side of it, the ownership layer on ordinals is off chain, right? But the data is on chain, where it's opposite of on Ethereum. The data is off chain, but the ownership layer is on chain. So I think there will be a resurgence, but Bitcoin is definitely having its cultural renaissance, I should say the least. very least.
I mean, got to give Casey props, that he wins basically, man of the year is in crypto is, most influential. Wow. What a ride, man. I mean, what an incredible ride for him. I say, personal congratulations to him. Or, I don't know if it's a congratulations or a curse because it is one of these funny things, but just an incredible ride that we've all taken, with the ordinals and Bitcoin community. So it's been fun.
Yeah, it absolutely has. Sunny Orbit on the live stream says, GM, been a while to catch the live session. So GM to you. Yes, absolutely. 3 days a week, having a lot of good fun times. Dogfather, I do want to start off with you, man. You've been kind of all over the Bitcoin protocol for, nearly a decade at this point, including Doge Party. You're really good at analytics. Your channel's been blowing up. Have you dove into any intriguing analytical findings on Counterparty itself?
Yeah, it's been a while since I did anything on Counterparty. So I did kind of like several threads on Rep Happy artists, Rep Happy sales, the same for fakes and Space of Genesis. So feel free, to do an advanced search on that. So I will once in a while read all them. And now I'm looking forward to, what's further happening on the curated collection for Rep Happies and Space of Genesis. What Emblem Vault is rocking. I mean, we saw like all these sales in particular for Rep Happies after our friends from Yuga, bought some. So that's definitely bringing more eyes. And I'm now celebrating more or less the second birthday of my first discovery on Counterparty, where I was, where I found some interesting token that I interpret as misprints. So very, very early attempts to issue a token that failed, but still had some traces on chain. And I found them 2 years ago. So it's really funny how fast the time.
Yeah, and I can't believe it's been two years since you put that tweet out. That's crazy. It almost feels like a month ago, So yeah, I'd love to, and anybody who's in the audience right now, if you have Counterparty stories, history of Counterparty, we'd love to explore all of it today.
Projects, anything, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've invited JP up. JP Jansen, if y'all don't know, is a Counterparty OG, literal genius who was doing some incredible stuff on Counterparty very early, some of these early experiments. And but Dogfather, let's dive into it a little bit. What you found, I guess, 2 years ago now. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the story is actually very simple. So I tried to issue a new token for the Dank directory. That's like a fun directory like fake rares, but not as competitive. So I was, looking at the issuance tab on X chain, which is our block explorer on Counterparty. And then for my freshly minted token, it said like 5 years old. And I was like, what the heck? I just did that half an hour ago. And so I had a quick look what was happening. And then in the first issuance of that token, which is Peppy Beat, it said like, tried to register 5 years ago, but there were insufficient funds. So someone tried to issue the token, but did not have, enough funds to pay the fees. So then I just, draw the API and checked how many other tokens were like that. Could be, just by chance it was the only one. But there were a few others. And in particular, there were like 16 from 2014. So someone tried to issue a token, did not have enough funds, and never tried again. So basically left them unclaimed, but with some traces on chain that someone wanted to issue the token. And one of the most interesting.
Well, to go into a little detail there, how does it? So I understand how, like, if you don't have enough, XCP or Bitcoin or whatever, a transaction gets stuck. Like that makes sense. But what's like actually recorded on chain there? Go into the details a little bit there about what's actually recorded, and what kind of carries through to the new token that you would issue to yourself.
Yeah, so basically everything is there. So the token name foremost, the time when someone wanted to issue the token but didn't succeed, the supply and all the metadata that people wanted to put there in the first issuance transaction. So for all of them, there was no image attached because people were not doing that at that point in time. So they were kind of like naked. And if you wanted to issue this token of the same name, there was some weird error message. But other than that, if you clicked that away, you could just, claim that token with the kind of like on-chain provenance that someone tried to do the same thing like 9 years ago, 8 years ago. So that's the whole story, and I interpret.
So you could change the number, right? You didn't have to stick to whatever was tried the first time. So the first time, say they wanted to issue 100, you could issue 1,000 when you did it later. Is that correct?
100%. So it was kind of like a fresh start.
Yep.
So you could add metadata. You could, specify the supply. You could lock it. It's your token. You can do everything. And that's what I did. So I found one token I found particularly interesting because of the huge history and important history called Satoshi Dice. And some OGs may know that and remember that. That was like the first real Bitcoin adoption, like mass adoption. They blew off the chain because that was like an online casino. So people sent some Bitcoin to the website, satoshidice.com, and then there was some randomization, and either we are lucky and received 10 or 100 times your money or not. So the money was basically gone, and the casino was just taking a small cut. This was a very successful website, and it was later sold for. Let me just double check. It's such a.
It was a lot. Like the number of Bitcoins was like hurts your brain to think about how many Bitcoins.
It was the 126,000 Bitcoin. 126,
which was $18 back then, but it seems like a lot.
I guarantee you, Eric Voorhees held that all the way the entire time.
Oh my God. I guarantee he sold a lot. That's for sure. Yeah.
I mean, at that point in time, that was 12 million. Still, 2013. This was for a crypto business, still a lot of money. So pretty interesting, story. So it's still operating.
There's a reason Voorhees lives in Dubai and is no longer an American citizen.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Of sense. So I like that this token was not just having like a timestamp 6 days after the first user created token, the test token. So 6 days after that was, the attempt to issue Satoshi Dice, but that it also has this crypto story. So that is not just something, some weird name that nobody liked, but I really love that. I mean, Satoshi is always something that carries value. Then it's a real world application. It has lots of history. So I tried together with my friend Zach, I tried to at least put some artwork on there that justifies the history. So we have some nice Easter eggs in there. So I was pinning my original tweet from last year in there in the space here, so you can check that out. So you have reference to test token. You have, of course, the frog theme, like Nakamoto in green. That's very, very important. We have some numbers in there, like the supply and something like how the game mechanics work. So dive in a bit and you will find some nice Easter eggs.
Speaking of,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead, Dogfather. I thought you were finished.
So just have a look at the artwork. So you will find some nice crypto related, Easter eggs. The supply is 200. I did some first initial distribution when everything was ripping, like in January and February 2022, so almost 2 years ago. I distributed them to some, connoisseurs, who really value counterparty stuff. And then some people were selling them later on up to 0.18 Bitcoin. So it was not me. So some other people were selling them a bit more expensive. And then most of the tokens I just gave to some friends or taught them how to do that. So in order to not grab all of them, but to let other people also have fun over here. One of them even made it into the fake rares. So we have some nice application of these tokens also in these contemporaneous rare peppy or fake rare directory. And yeah, so that's the story of these misprints or invisible tokens, as you may want to call them.
It's such a cool story. I think, this is the type of thing that I, personally I find just incredibly cool. You were trying to do something, you saw like a flaw in it or something that caught your interest, and then you pursued it and found some really cool stuff. And I just think it's a incredible story. Really, really cool. I actually love the artwork you did there for it. It's really cool. Or really, I had done for it. It's really cool. The tie-in with Satoshi Dice is just amazing. But look, we got on stage. We got J-Dog, man. J-Dog, I appreciate you coming up. For those who don't know, J-Dog is he's legend in the Counterparty community. I mean, Counterparty, it's pretty fair to say, probably wouldn't exist as it does today without J-Dog maintaining it, keeping it running, keeping X-Chain running, so we can actually all do this kind of stuff with Counterparty. And so J-Dog, welcome, man. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I got busy. Spells of Genesis's database is having some issues. I was busy working on helping them fix their stuff. So, but I'm here now.
Nice, man. Can you give? I know we've talked about it before, but there are probably some new people in the audience here. Can you give like a brief intro about how you got into like Counterparty, how it popped up on your radar, and get in a little bit of your history?
Yeah, I'll do the real quick version. Found Counterparty about 3-4 months after it had already been created. Found it through Doge Party. I first came to Counterparty through Doge Party, which was a fork of Counterparty that runs on Dogecoin. So I was interested in Doge Party.
Ja, ich müsste es nur mal kurz jetzt machen. So.
Oh, Dogfather, hold on, I'll just move you.
I got him.
You got him. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, J-Dog.
No worries. So yeah, I think I was on vacation when Doge Party came out, and I was just manually registering a whole bunch of tokens. And so yeah, I fell in love with Doge Party, and then eventually after Doge Party, developers kind of walked away and the platform kind of died. I switched over to Counterparty and just took my development experience and goals over to Counterparty and just started building over there.
And as you developed on Counterparty, you've been running Free Wallet and X-Chain, and also the compatibles on Doge Party as well now. Can you just take us through what the difference is between X-Chain as kind of this explorer that's also an exchange, which also is a dispenser, and how you tied all of that into Free Wallet, which is by far the most dominant wallet that's used for Counterparty assets?
Sure. When I came over to Counterparty, the wallets were not great.
What wallets were there? When was it like Counter Wallet was there, or which were the ones that were there?
Yeah, the Counter Wallet that you see today is the same one.
Same one. It's so awesome.
Yeah. It's great for like introductory, like, hey, here's your wallet and here's your 12 addresses and here's your, tokens and whatnot. But when you're like using Counterparty at scale and you want to, have thousands of assets in your wallet, Counter Wallet chokes because it pulls up multiple wallets and all that. I mean, it's not a great wallet. So I determined I didn't want to use that anymore. And so I wanted to build a wallet I wanted to use. So I had a goal of building Free Wallet, but before I could do that, Counterparty is kind of not super easy to integrate with as far as like making requests to it. You got to do post requests, and that's not super tough, but it's not as easy as just requesting a URL and getting data. So I wrote X-Chain with the idea of, hey, I want to show all the activity that is going on Counterparty. But the primary focus behind it was to write easy APIs that I could then use to pull data into the wallet. So first I wrote X-Chain to just kind of show what's going on Counterparty, what tokens are being registered and what's flowing back and forth. Then I went on and wrote the API so I could pull data out of Counterparty easily and much faster than querying Counterparty directly. And then I wrote Free Wallet, which is just the wallet that I want to use to manage my tokens, and I just open sourced it, and apparently it became the primary wallet for Counterparty. But yeah, I primarily wrote it for myself, for how I want to manage my tokens, and it seems like other people like it too.
You want to go through a little bit? It's kind of popped up over the last couple of weeks with Luke Dash Jr. and all this Bitcoin ordinals controversy about pruning it from the node, or not allowing the transactions to go through.
Say the dirty word spam out loud.
Spamming the chain.
It's the heart of every Bitcoin argument. Sorry.
Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about like what you experienced during that time, as far as how it directly affected Counterparty, and what your kind of takeaway was looking back on that time?
Sure. Like I said, I came into Counterparty like 3 to 6 months after it had already launched. It came onto my radar after it had already gone through the drama. I'm familiar with the drama, so I can walk you guys through it. But essentially, Counterparty launched. It was great. Their Bitcoin was going to have 80 byte op returns. I think they did. And then Counterparty launched, and Luke Dash Jr., did what he does, freaks out, and you're not using the blockchain right. It's only for, transferring value and Bible verses. And so they went and
what if ordinals were only Bible verses? Would Luke have been fine with it then? Probably.
He might. Just start putting more Jesus on the blockchain, and maybe he'll move the filters. So yeah, he kind of did the same thing he's doing now. It's like, this is horrible. We're gonna stop it. We can do fit with filters, and so they tried. They limited op return from 80 bytes to 40 bytes, and tried to like neuter Counterparty. And Counterparty developers are smart, and there's Bitcoin has multiple ways to encode data, and so we essentially said, all right, you want to remove Counterparty developers said, all right, you want to remove the way for us to write data most efficiently to the chain to try to stop us. That's cool. You can't stop us here. We're going to use multisig. So instead of writing it in just the blockchain, now we're going to use multisig and write this data directly into the UTXO set. Essentially saying you can't stop us, and we're doing things responsibly. But if you want to fuck around with us, we can be way more destructive. And that kind of they kind of backed off and just left. The war kind of died down. Counterparty said, hey, you can't stop us. The developers kind of said, yeah, Bitcoin developers said, yeah, you're right. So let's just kind of stalemate, and Counterparty go off and exist. And so the spam war kind of died off until Ordinal popped up again. And then now you hear more again, the same stuff, that you're using Bitcoin wrong, you're using Counterparty, or, you're not using it for store of value and Bible verses. So it's just a repeat of the same stuff that you're hearing years and years and years ago. If Ordinals has staying power, I think Luke Dash Jr.'s opinion might soften a little bit, as it has with Counterparty, but he can't publicly come out and say, oh, it's okay for Counterparty, it's not okay for Ordinals, because, that would be partial.
Yeah, the game of Bitcoin politics. We talked about that with Casey last time he was on the show. It's interesting. Counterparty, about to celebrate its 10-year anniversary. They're doing a party in Vegas for all the test holders. So shout out to those who are going to that. I'll be able to say hello to you guys. But it's crazy that, it's survived, and it's had moments of thriving abilities. Generally, it's appreciated multiple years later than when the assets were created in 2021. There was this boom about historical NFTs, and that's when people, I think, began to go re-explore what was Bitcoin NFTs, which at the only time was really Counterparty that people found any sort of interest in. And it's funny now, I think Ordinals is actually going through a similar thing. I saw people trading and a whole narrative about the original Ordi mint inscriptions they're calling historical, and people are going up and buying them. And so it reminded me of are we about to do this whole historical NFT narrative all over again? Right, kind of idea. But
it's
this time now,
it's 6 months out, right? And they're already doing
it, right? So they have two historical narratives. They have this sub 10K kind of idea, and then you have now, I guess, original Ordi mint inscriptions. What else is going to be there? Who really knows? But now that Bitcoin's kind of having this emergence period, capital funds now want to have a whole Bitcoin section to them. There's a more legitimacy that's added to all of these original tokens on Counterparty, because, you know, the whole ecosystem's only going to continue to grow from here. But now as we look at it, there's only a few, I guess, newer projects that are really being created. You have rare Pepes and you have a lot of like individual Pepe artists. But I wanted to ask, like, J-Dog, as somebody who's like maintaining it and you see all these transactions go through, as of today, or I guess you'd say maybe just in 2023 to generalize, like, what type of activity is existing on Counterparty in terms of new projects or just new assets being issued?
If I may be so bold.
Sure.
Go for it, Dan.
Go for it, Dan.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Whoa, gone.
Might have been
We did
Brad.
not rug you, bro.
We'll go to J-Dog first, and then when Dan comes back up, he could go ahead.
So what was the question? Just what projects are currently going on Counterparty? What kind of activity do we see going on the platform?
Yeah. Just say maybe just wrap 2023 on Counterparty, because the original narrative was all historical stuff. What type of new projects or tokens are you seeing issued on Counterparty?
We're seeing just more of the like fake rares and Coco projects, pop up. Also seeing self plug here. There's two projects that I'm currently running. One called modernrelics.io and one called ruderelics.io. Those are also running on Counterparty, and the idea there is tokens that were registered in 2014 are given new artwork. There's like a design contest every month for the next 2 years, and artists submit artwork to be considered for the to be applied to the main legacy token, and then every month we'll pick a winner. And so there's that going on. And I'm kind of playing around with censorship limits in that Rude Relics project. I kind of want to suss out where I want to censor. I don't believe in censorship unless it's extreme. And so, but I kind of want to suss out where on X chain the line is for what I will and won't censor. So that was kind of the premise behind this Rude Relics project, was push the line of what is rude and see if there's anything that I'm going to need to censor short of beheading on X chain. As far as daily activity, for 2023, there was a good amount of stamps activity in 2023. It seems like most of the minting of stamps has died down a lot, but there's still a good amount of dispensers being created and stamps being, at least from what I can see, of the stamps that live on Counterparty. I see them going back and forth stuff. I'm not sure on SRC20 if I can see those transfers or whatever, but that's my summary of what's going on Counterparty right now. Just people experimenting and having fun and playing around.
Yeah, it does seem like Counterparty's really taking the narrative of just being like home for memes, tokenized memes for the most part. Whether it's Rare Coco or Pepe or whatever it comes here in the future, it seems like that's kind of what's been taken home. But I know you, J-Dog, you experimented with, I believe it was called BTNS, and then you also, on Free Wallet, there's a donation for a decentralized kind of prediction market or betting platform. Could you at least just explain a little bit of what both of those are? Because they are both kind of fascinating ideas, especially, just go through both of them. We'll talk about it after.
Sure, I'll talk about the betting system, then you can remind me what the other thing I'm supposed to talk about is. So Counterparty, when it was launched with a built-in decentralized betting and oracle system where anybody can just create some custom JSON file and broadcast it and say, hey, here's this file that contains information about an event like the Super Bowl. Here's the possible outcomes. One team wins, one team doesn't. And here's the, basically a file that says, hey, here's what you can bet on, and here's the fee that an oracle will charge. And then within Counterparty, there's a betting ability where people can say, okay, here's the feed I want to bet on, here's how much XCP I want to bet, and the protocol escrows it all trustlessly. So you can only bet with XCP currently. But the idea is you can have a oracle system that's run by people, as well as betting system that is run and where the funds are escrowed on the protocol. So it's not like you have a third party holding funds that can then run off with it. So the oracle broadcasts a event saying, hey, here's this event, here's what you can bet on, and here's when the bet will resolve. And then after the event happens, that Oracle then broadcasts the result, like basically just a 1 or a 2 or a 3 saying what the end result is. And then Counterparty says, okay, I have the result of this betting event now. Let's look at everybody who has bets against it. Let's, take money from the losers and give it to the winners and whatnot. So Counterparty has the decentralized betting system built into it that was used the first couple of years. Amazing. But nobody used it. There wasn't really much profit to be made. So it kind of fell out of use.
It's amazing. That's amazing. How does the org? I mean, give just a high level for kind of normies. How does the Oracle aspect of that work?
Well, you create a custom JSON file in a special format that defines the outputs and some text and when the event will resolve, and you broadcast that. Counterparty then goes into this special JSON file and pulls out the options. And when people go to bet, within Counterparty, it then goes and parses the JSON file. And to be perfectly honest, I haven't messed with betting internally, so I can't speak to exactly what goes on. But I do know that when people place the bets, the funds are immediately taken out of their wallet and escrowed into the Counterparty system. So there's no chance for somebody to lose a bet and take off with the funds and move them before. Everything is escrowed trustlessly. And the idea here is, with oracles, you want to, long term, you're going to have a whole bunch of people running oracles, and you'll want to only pay attention to the ones that are giving out accurate results and have a good history. But anyway, so back to Free Wallet and the betting thing. I always wanted to get this, and if you want to know more about the betting stuff, ask Joe Looney. He actually built a betting functionality working again, and so I put a bounty in Free Wallet where if I collect whatever it was, 3,000 XCP, then I'll set aside some time to build an interface where people can just type in what they want to create an oracle and what they want to bet on. I'll just make it easy for people to just fill out a form, and now you're an oracle, and choose how much you want to charge people, and now you're an oracle. And same thing, I'll have an interface that'll show you all the things you can bet on, and you can just click on it and choose how much you want to bet and have it be, pretty simple. So that's the goal. Is there's a feature of Counterparty called bets that's not used, and I'd like to eventually revive it. So.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, right now in the Bitcoin ecosystem on the ordinals, the idea of a Bitcoin oracle is attempted to be tackled. Mostly for BRC20s, but inevitably and eventually you'll need it for all types of Bitcoin assets. And that's still a very immature market. But, decentralized betting has had some regulatory issues over the years, especially those that are on Ethereum that continually get shut down. I think the one right now is on Polymarket, but it has some sort of regulatory aspect to it. If you have this here on Counterparty, right, there's really no way to censor it, at least for the majority, for regulators to come in and say, hey, you can't bet this, because it does get kind of in this gray area. So I think Bitcoin does need one. Go ahead, J-Dog.
Yeah, the Counterparty protocol doesn't pay attention at all. The IP addresses or where you're coming from is just, here's a request to generate a bet. So as far as how did the original founders hide betting and do stuff legally, in Counter Wallet, there's just an option where it says if your IP address is from the US, don't show the betting interface in Counter Wallet. But on the protocol level, there's nothing that stops the person from going ahead and betting. And in Free Wallet, I will have no kind of IP checking. You want to bet, you'll bet.
That makes sense. And then the last question I had was BTNS. I think it was called was it BTNS or BA? I might have had that backwards. The broadcasting system that you were dabbling with and experimenting. Just take us through what the idea of that was, and if you're still working on it, or if maybe betting or just maintaining it is where the priority is.
Sure. BTNS was initially born as kind of a way to show Stamps and the SRC20 guys how they could do tokens on Counterparty if they wanted. It wasn't used, and I kind of built it out a little bit more. I had some fun building out BTNS. What it essentially is it's taking all of the logic of Counterparty, all of the functionality of Counterparty and removing it from the lower levels of encoding transactions and decoding transactions and moving it up all the consensus logic to a higher level. So what it allows me to do is build and develop much, much faster than having to go back and forth with Counterparty devs and whatnot. So the idea here was initially, hey, this is a way I can play with features on Counterparty and develop stuff faster and kind of like prove some of these concepts that I want to, tinker around with. But over time, as Counterparty development has become more and more difficult to push things forward, and I want to do a lot of experimenting with BTNS, with larger transactions and Taproot, it's kind of, BTNS has kind of pivoted in my mind. It started out as just kind of a fun playground to see what you can do on Counterparty, and you can still do that. But at this point, I think I'm going to be, in 2024, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be pivoting it to a full-fledged multi-chain platform where the consensus logic lives higher up, and the platform itself, the API, only handles generating transactions and passing it some string of code. So doing a bad job of explaining it, but
you might need to hire a marketer, bro.
Yeah, so you can create a token and choose if you want to write the token to a backend on Bitcoin, a backend on Litecoin, a backend on Dogeparty, a backend on Ethereum. So it will be one code base to maintain, and you can write to whatever backend blockchain you want. That's the idea generally, is stop maintaining Counterparty and then Dogeparty and some other fork of the party, and just maintain one code base that then is allowed to write to multiple blockchains.
I got one final question then, actually just spurred, when we recorded our podcast, I don't know, maybe it was like 6 months ago, we were talking that, you had a high degree of preference just for Bitcoin and Dogeparty. But now it seems you're going to build something for multi-chain. How has your position on other blockchains changed as, you've been developing Counterparty and now want to pursue something that includes the majority of, I guess, adopted blockchains?
I think that my personal preference is just do everything on Bitcoin, and then as Bitcoin gets more expensive, do more fun stuff on Dogecoin. So I still am high preference to Bitcoin, and then Dogecoin. As far as opening up to other blockchains, I just want one code base to maintain, and writing to Litecoin, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum. All of those are not technically all that difficult to do, to just, hey, take some data, stuff it into a transaction and write it to a blockchain. So I'm not a fan of Ethereum and all these other blockchains, but if I'm writing a multi-chain platform and it's not that tough to allow them to be included, why would I not?
Wow, that's exciting. You heard that here first. Multi-party, that is exciting time. Dogfather, thanks for remaining patient. What was on your mind?
Oh, I just wanted to, when you talked about that Counterparty is mainly about memes and so, I think we should also, while celebrating Casey with the ordinals, should also celebrate JP Jansen, who was, according to my research and my knowledge, the first to put something on chain with his Olga token, not directly on the token, but he broadcasted that with the Counterparty system, and that was like, I think 2015 or 16, so pretty early. Just doing what the stamps guys are now doing with Space 64 encoding with an artwork. And I don't know, I think this is priceless. I mean, I guess he won't sell it, but this can be considered like an ultimate grail. So I think Counterparty did everything that kind of like what ordinals are doing nowadays in terms of artwork, and they were very early. So I think we will appreciate that more and more. The more people come to Bitcoin and to ordinals, the more they will appreciate what was happening on Counterparty. So I'm extremely bullish for everything that happened early, like Web Happy, Spells of Genesis, but also, like individual attempts like what JP Jansen was doing, also with all his other works, very early stuff. And, all the other, I have some, and also, Davesta has a very, very cool Counterparty timeline. I have one, including, colored coins and ordinals on top of that. So I think we will appreciate that more and more, what was done on Counterparty. Really legendary early experiments. And JDoc, huge props what you're doing. I don't know how much your day must have, like 48 hours at least, so to build all these stuff and maintain all these things. And also we should highlight that what Javier and others are helping there to do all these daily work on Counterparty. So really huge props to the whole dev team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
J-Dog, do you want to talk a little bit about how, development on Counterparty, how you see it going forward, and kind of what you're going to be doing over the next, 6 months, year? You wanted to go into that a little?
Yeah, I'll give you my minimal drama free answer. Counterparty is in good hands now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here at Counterparty. I'm still overlooking every change and whatnot, but I've stepped back as the core main developer, and JP Jansen, Shannon Code from Emblem Vaults, and Joe Looney all have stepped into maintainer roles on the Counterparty repo. They've all been around for a really long time, and I have utmost faith that they're going to treat Counterparty with the respect that it deserves and move it forward. So as far as Counterparty moving forward, I think it's in a good spot. It's more decentralized than it has been the past few years, and there will be more voices, and I hope that some of those voices can agree and move some things forward.
Yeah, that is a very star-studded trio. So what does that actually mean for those who aren't technically, or technically savvy? Does this mean that they control the code to Counterparty? Is this like a multi-sig where 2 of 3 or 3 of 3 need to sign something to push a new data request? What does that actually mean?
It's the same as it was with the original founders. It's all a trust network of, none of the founders are going to step on other founders' toes and push stuff out without communicating and making sure that everybody's on board. So it's kind of the same thing. As far as permissions, any individual developer right now in the main repo, Joe, Shannon, and JP and myself, they have the technical ability to push any repo, to push any commit to Counterparty. So yes, if I die tomorrow, all of them could push things immediately. However, when I say it's decentralized, we don't require 2 or 3, multi-sigs for pushing code. It just means all of us agree we're not pushing out anything until there's consensus. There's 4 of us now. And three of the 4 of us got to agree. And I'm just spitballing this. Well, all 4 of us maybe have to agree to push changes out. So that's how it will work. It's just no longer me being the sole guy pushing changes out and saying, okay, I think the community agrees with this. Let's push it out, and then being attacked for it. And I'm like, all right, you guys figure out what the community wants. Push it forward, and I'll be here, rah, rah. I hope it goes good.
Yeah, I'm going to decentralize the outrage is really what I'm doing.
100%.
Well, that may just layer in, obviously when there are more people, more problems. It's like, so maybe it becomes even less likely to change now, which may not be a good thing depending on, how you look at it.
Less experimental features and more only things that are getting out or stuff that everybody agrees on, which generally is good for a larger ecosystem. You don't want to push experimental stuff.
Yeah, we'll have to say, man, congratulations. You've been the maintainer of everything for what, 5, 6, 7 years now at this point. I'm sure it's a little bit of a sigh of relief that you really get to go focus on things that you want to build, as you had noticed or mentioned earlier with the multi-chain BTNS network. So congrats, man. I know you've been doing a lot. Excited to see what that means for the future of Counterparty, and if it hopefully revitalizes the introduction of some new ideas from those who've maybe just been holding on to them for a long time for whatever the reason may be. I really hope it does spur maybe some of those original visions with Counterparty's kind of this DeFi kind of centric protocol. Right now it's mostly NFTs, but there's a lot of things out there, a lot of options. So exciting for that.
Gambling. Bro, we always talk about gambling. Who knows, man? Maybe it comes home to Counterparty.
Yeah, I did want to call on Dave DeVesta, who's on the stage, who recently put out an awesome, probably the most intricate history of Counterparty tokens timeline. I was trying to look for it to pin it, could not find it. But first, I want to say hello, and then tell us a little bit about this timeline and what you came to learn while writing it.
Well, hey, thanks for having me on. The timeline that I have, I can pin it after I talk about it. But yeah, forgive me, this is very early for me. I told that to the guys when they invited me. And this timeline basically comes from seeing a lot of people on Twitter and other places that claim that something was the first 1/1 NFT. And first off, I just want to give a shout out. It's not just me. It's, oh my God, so many people have helped me with this information. There's a lot of people in the Counterparty community where you'd ask a question like, what was Olga or something? And then everybody knew about it except for me, and I didn't know anything about it. And I found that JP Jansen, Dogfather, so many people in the community had already researched this stuff, but it hadn't been conglomerated all into one place yet. And I'd was really inspired by White Rabbit's timeline and showing really early tokens. But after talking to a few people in the community, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many other tokens. There's, Olga's super interesting, but no one knows, less than a month later, there was something with Base 64 called Beep from Theo Goodman, which he did audio integration with Base 64. People later on, Cornholio experimented with that on descriptions. And then I started looking at like the developer, counterparty improvement proposals and some of the ones that were drafted and haven't come in yet. And I was just getting mad at people on Twitter, like nothing, counterparties never developed and they didn't do anything of value. And I was just like, freaking, that's not true. And I'm going to show you. The timeline includes so much stuff that I conglomerated from some beautiful people, developers, old project, just people I never thought I'd be in contact with. And the groundwork was laid by all these people like JP Jansen and all this data was already there. It just hadn't been conglomerated yet. And I finally put it in and I was like, I want to do this cool timeline. I really wanted to pull request it and put it on the Counterparty website. But even now, after looking at this timeline, there's hundreds of entries. And now I just want to make it more comprehensive. I want to have every project that ever existed onto it. I don't know if that's feasible, but there's a lot of stuff on there that I could only find some of the information, or someone would be like, oh, here's a Bitcoin Talk article. We kind of went over, Pinata, or we went over, even JP Jansen's, ebook, right? No, a lot of Counterparty wasn't just NFTs. It was a lot of really cool uses. There was the Let's Talk Bitcoin podcast. There was, and website, right? And there was, one of the tokens I wrote down was Adam Levine saying, if you buy this token, you can talk to me for an hour. And I thought that was freaking cool, man. I thought that was like beautiful. And I was like, people were really experimenting with what a Bitcoin asset could do,
Yeah, you've done a really good job. We've pinned it to the top. Just everyone show some love and retweet it so that everyone can see it. I know from firsthand experience, Adam knows as well. Once you put out a timeline for something, it's never finalized. You always got to put V1 at the end of it because it's never complete.
Yeah, I tried to write throughout the whole process. This is a draft. It's always going to be updated. I have a little spot. A lot of the data gets pulled from this little GitHub I made, little repo. I like that it's public, that I can show all the updates and how stupid I started with, and all that. But it just, not enough information in the beginning. And now I have a little list that says tokens on deck and then now it's filling up yet again because people like Satoshi Dice, right? I really thought about adding that for a long time, but and I think I still will. It's just, I always wanted to show who was the first to use a certain part of the Counterparty protocol? Who was the first to lock a token? Who was the first to do a dividend? Who was the first to use these really cool options you can do on the Counterparty protocol? And then what did they use it for? And sometimes, in the timeline, I write, it didn't really work. This idea didn't really work. Other times it's working to this day. It's still in action. It's great. So I thought that was cool. I wanted to show people that there was some history here and people really experimented with stuff and not that many people know about it. And I wanted people not to have to go, I wanted people to have a centralized place where they could go and see this all and give a starting point of like, this is some crazy stuff that people are experimenting with and not many people know about it. So that's my backing on making it.
Yeah, 2014, 2015 Counterparty is actually full of unique type of experiences, a lot of redemptions. As you mentioned, Let's Talk Bitcoin is probably one of the more innovative early projects that takes in a lot of concepts that people are even trying to experiment with today. And also the early kind of Counterparty tokens, a lot of them are actually surround kind of DeFi kind of activities more than they do NFTs and kind of the modern type of NFTs that we see today. So appreciate you for doing that, man. Can never have enough timelines, to say the least. We do have a few other people on stage here, so I'm gonna make some rounds for anyone who wants to speak on Counterparty. First, I want to say hello to the Ruins. Damn, I haven't seen you in a long time. Also, somebody who had wrote a very awesome timeline, Counterparty and NFT timeline. Man, how you been? All right, you might be on mute. If not, we'll move on, and I'll say hello to Arwen, our favorite stamp connoisseur man, the man of pixelated sheep. How are you doing?
What, is everybody muted? Dude, what's happening with these mics, man? Guys, plug your mics in, bro. Come on, man. Maybe, Chris, are you able to speak? Maybe we've got a mass rug situation here.
Chris, can you hear me?
No, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here for you guys.
All right,
Yeah, guys, if your mic's not working, maybe just leave, hard close your app, and then come back in.
Well, we're gonna get some further people on
V-Runs
stage.
just threw up an emoji. Are you there?
G Money man, how you been? At first, I want to say the episode that we did on Pepe numerology, quite a big hit. Also got in quite a little bit of skepticism from the outside people listening to it. Definitely one of our better or most viewed Pepe shows. So
definitely the most controversial. Our DMs got a little bit filled with what are you guys doing?
I love it. Let the triggering continue.
Oh, the triggering was off the charts, man.
No, so thanks for what you guys are doing. Bringing more awareness to Counterparty is always a great thing. Just a couple things I wanted to mention is I'll be in Vegas this week at Unconfiscatable, and
cool.
I'll actually be debating Counterparty versus some other projects there. So if anybody's in Vegas or wants to come to Vegas Thursday, Friday, first like 4 or 5 people to message me, I'll get you a free ticket. Tickets are like $650.
Whoa!
So it's Thursday and Friday.
I live in
go, man. Pull one for Jake, bro.
Yeah, I live in Vegas. I live downtown.
Do you,
so,
you want to come?
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, cool. Come out. I talk on Thursday. There's a little poker tournament Wednesday night. Feel free to come on down. It's gonna be a great time. It's mostly Bitcoin stuff, so shitcoiners can stay home. But the only other thing I wanted to mention is there's a really interesting story with Overstock and Patrick Byrne, which maybe J-Dog didn't really touch on as the kind of the startings of Counterparty, but he actually ICO'd Overstock and put a bunch of money into the development some sort of way into Counterparty. And he's the only person that has like a legitimate approved government like document that people can trade equities on Counterparty. Well, I don't know if it's like Counterparty or it's this other program, but it's just a really interesting story. I did like a full dig on it. There's an episode of Rug Pull Radio where we talk about it. So it'd be fun to talk about that one time, but that's the only thing I want to say.
I watched your interview on Rug Pull Radio, and I went through that, and then I included that on the timeline, and it was like a developmental fork that Overstock did to integrate the Counterparty platform to do some of their e-commerce stuff using the decentralized exchange or some of the functions that Counterparty had, and there's a little bit of info on it, but they had a press release. There was a press release from Counterparty on it. There was articles written. It was a big deal when Overstock kind of came in. There was another fork called Monoparty as well a little bit later. But yeah, Overstock, that's a big deal. I was happy that you get that information for the community, G Money. Not many people know about that.
Yeah, just another interesting rabbit hole as we go down some of this stuff. But yeah, that's the only thing I want to mention. So if anybody wants to come to Vegas, hit me up. We'll be out there Thursday, Friday. So thanks, guys.
Yeah,
I think Jake, you might call this one, man. Vegas may be the crypto hotspot, man.
I told you it's funny. I've been saying this for so many years at this point already. Like me and Chris are tired of doing this. We even started a whole business around this in 2021, a consultation group. To me, it's just like the equivalence of Vegas and crypto culture. There's so many parallels, and then especially when you dive even more to NFTs. the direction of the city is going, and just my conversations with all the gaming control board and the regulators of Vegas, they're much more interested in this idea of NFTs intertwining with Vegas than having Bitcoin on the craps table. And just one reason of that, and then I'll kind of, recant from there, is that when you're putting crypto on gambling, there's two things that they need to approve. One of them is like the source of funds, right? And so the source of funds for most Bitcoins goes back to the Silk Road in some degree. So we had a bunch of lawmakers we were working with or trying to figure out like what is the right amount of transactions before you're essentially saying that this is a clean Bitcoin.
Oh boy.
Right. And so when you're trying to explain this to, politicians who have no idea what crypto is to the beginning, it's like it just goes over their head. So ultimately, Chris and I, we shut that business down and we said, we'll come back to this in a few years when it is a little bit more adopted, and then we can really go about it. And when we were talking with Circa, which is like the leading casino downtown in 2021, they said that they saw NFTs as a marketing expense versus a profitable business endeavor. And I was like, okay, they don't get it yet. So hopefully a few more years or one more cycle, they'll get it. And then we'll be able to have like an NFT slot machine or something like that. What's up, Kane? What's up, Kane? I know you always got some great takes. How you been, bro?
Were you trying to get a fucking politician to commit to a number? Oh, listen, no. Listen to me. You know I like you. I already appreciate you. I want to go fishing. I like G Money. I like Red Pool Radio. I like them very much. A lot of fun with those guys. They're good people. But if you were trying to get a politician to a number that fucking Tide Pods my coins, I think you get a statue like Rocky and Philly.
Yeah,
we're trying. Hey, you can make it happen, man.
We're trying. We brought in a consultation group for it, and then ultimately, I just kind of ended up working at Emblem, and that kind of fizzled out. And Chris and I closed a business. It was called Native Research, but there's a large amount of interest in helping turn Vegas into this kind of like NFT or crypto community. And the Las Vegas government tends to move quite slow, as most governments do. But there is a very large amount of interest there. And we're even seeing this now with, some of the casinos have started their own NFT rewards programs, like Stations Casinos has done Charms. I helped MGM do their Jabberwockies thing back a few years ago. And so everyone's kind of experimenting it. You could use Bitcoin actually at Crazy Horse 3 right now. So if you want some lap dances and VIP service, you can use Bitcoin for that. So it's getting there. It's getting there. They're kind of circling it like sharks until they finally give in.
You get your statue in tungsten or carbonite, like Han Solo, whatever you want. Just let me know. I'll make sure it happens for you.
First guy through the wall gets bloody. Jake got maybe a little bit bloody there.
What's up? Do we have NFTT? How's it going?
Bless up. How are you?
Good. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling awesome. That's a valiant effort in trying to get the politicians involved. I mean, you got to have folks working on all angles, right? You handle the politicians, other people who handle the artists. I was in Vegas a couple of months ago. This was the only place that I'd seen an actual NFT store in downtown Vegas.
Yep.
But the art scene I don't know what happened to the artists. There was almost nothing there.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Crypto or Journey Crypto, he's a very large kind of OG crypto YouTuber, opened up an NFT gallery in Las Vegas. The issue with NFT galleries, I don't know if it's anybody else feels the same way. They always fall so flat to me. Every single one that I go to, it feels like there's something missing. I don't know exactly what it is, but also too at the NFT gallery, they were just showing all like PFPs. It was like Bored Apes and Pudgy Penguins and shit. And I was like, come on, this is an art. I want something. I know they're worth a lot of money, but I want something that I can actually look at. It's not just a PFP.
Yeah, and they were also never open. Regardless what time I went there, they weren't open.
Yeah, they're unfortunately struggling a little bit, to say the least.
On that moment, I don't want to interject too much, but I just want to give a shout out to the NFT factory in Paris, the Pepes, and a lot of Counterparty people, Stamps, Ordinals, all met up at something called Pepe Fest. And I want to give a shout out to NFT Gallery out there in Paris. That was beautiful. What you're talking about they were a great accommodation. We had like live minting from Joe Looney on his new wallet for Counterparty assets. People could mint from their phones. People were drawing Pepes on little sheets of paper and just taking pictures with their phone. So there's a huge scene out there. I think one of the artists from Rare Pepe, Robness, had his piece in right across the walkway in the contemporary art gallery out there too. So anyway, there's places out there that really are great and accommodate this amazing community too. So anyway, I just wanted to throw it out there because they were great.
For sure. Look, in the spirit of giving shout outs, I really got to give a shout out to Emblem Vault. You guys were the inspiration that got me. It blew my mind when I saw Circuits of Value and this ability to attach assets to NFTs, and that's what sent me down my path in building my NFT platform that is specifically that NFTs attached to a smart contract. I've given y'all shout outs before on tweets. I always mention that you were my inspiration almost any time I talk about where the origin of my startup came from. And I'm glad that I have this opportunity to actually say that to you. I know very few folks in this industry will actually give props to who and where they got their inspiration from. And I want to seize this opportunity to do so. Thank you for that.
I appreciate that. I'll make sure that I tell Shannon that as well, that he's very appreciated. It's really awesome to see. We're here to grow the pie together. That's what Emblem Vault's mission is. Never, as much as there is friendly competition, we're here to really just, proliferate Bitcoin NFTs and every asset so that people can use whatever kind of ecosystem they feel most comfortable with, kind of at the end of the day. We do have 2 more speakers up here that want to call on before we close it out with questions. First one is Aquatic. I saw you had your hand up maybe 30 minutes ago or so. First, thanks for coming on stage, and how are you doing?
Hey, Jake. Thanks for having me up here. Yeah, I put my hand up before just because while we were talking, Bitcoin hit 43,500 while we were all talking just now.
Tell it all, guys. Dump it all.
I'm a small fish, and I came late to the scene on Counterparty. I actually found Counterparty through the Circuits of Value Telegram. I used to annoy Desktop Commando to the point where he would mute me and almost ban me. And someone in the chat decided to invite me into the Fake Rares group. And because I was always on Emblem.finance, but I didn't understand Fake Rares, Rare Pepes, Dank Rares, all the vaults. I didn't get it. And then we had the Coinbase listing and my bag grew. And then I was like, okay, I really fuck with this stuff. But immediately I was invited into the Fake Rare channel, and I'm like I said, I'm a small fish. I'm sort of a younger dude, and what I wanted to emphasize was the community behind Counterparty. All the different communities have kept me around, kept me showing up every single day. In Fake Rares, my first week there, Skrilla had a contest where he said, first person to write 5 paragraphs on post-capitalism wins a purple Pepe. And I just sprinted to my computer and typed out this 5-paragraph essay of jargon, and I got my first Fake Rare that way. But from using Free Wallet to understanding and to basically being onboarded through Counterparty, I'm not sure how many people can say that who joined in 2021. Just because most people up here are serious OGs. But I didn't have much to say. I don't have much to contribute other than the community just does not die. And it is the best community in the crypto space. No matter the collection, whether it's the Barnyard Club from Carsonated, whether it's Fake Rares, whether it's Dank Rares, whether it's Pepe Party or whatnot. But the kind, nurturing family, like we've got your back, I've got your back mentality. It's kept me around. And again, I'm a small fish. I don't have too many fish bucks or anything like that. But man, I love Counterparty. I love Free Wallet, and longtime Emblem fan. Thank you so much for having me up, and shout out to everybody in here because I'm close with a few people in here. But shout out J-Dog. I never knew the extent of. I didn't know you literally gave birth to Free Wallet. That's fucking amazing. Gave birth. Sorry. Yeah, I'm a left curve guy. But I'm a left curve guy. But I'll hand it off to my big brother. I don't know, Arwen maybe. But thank you for having me up here, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend. As you said that too, with Left Curve, Ordy is at $65 on its way to, on its way to
Wait,
60.
I could have had it for 5 cents. How was this possible?
Absolutely ripping, insane. Every time I watch it go up, it's just in pain by how early I sold it.
Jake was like, I think in the next cycle it's gonna be shit coins, BRC20s. This is gonna be it, man. This is the meta.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah. He's like, bro, yes, I'm getting in. I'm all in. And I was like, all right, go for it, man.
Just
He got
rotated
all in, went up
just
2x, all out.
It's like 10, but rotated a little too early on that one.
So awesome.
Yeah, it's always when you're coming out of a bear market, you know, you just like you've been beaten down over the last 18 months, and you're like, there's no way this continues to go up, and
100%.
eventually it does. And that one time you're like, but that's okay. There's a lot more room to go for it, literally everything. Because if you know how shitcoins work, the shitcoins rotate into NFTs, right? Which at least the cycle is, and I don't think that'll be any different on Bitcoin. It'll be exact same thing. It'll probably go to other protocols.
Yep.
We do have 2 other people, or one. I want to say hello to HNFT Pepe, man, the guy that's been building on Counterparty with stamps. How's it going?
Hey, what's going on? I didn't realize I was going to come up and speak, but definitely happy to. I'm not an OG or anything, but I've been in crypto probably 6 or 7 years. Was pretty happy being on, but then I guess HNFTs, historical vintage, or whatever everyone's okay with calling them now, just old NFTs, kind of got me into digital art and collecting. Probably just collecting like sports cards, comic books, and enjoying classic cards and things like that. Got me into historical NFTs. Followed a lot of what Adam and Jake had going on with historic NFTs, and went through that whole journey, and then decided to create a collection on Counterparty, kind of dedicated as kind of a little tribute to historic NFTs. And that was actually the first collection and my first experience with messing around with digital art. Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I got started, and then I just started branching out into other things. I'm pretty big on stamps right now. I have a few collections there. Also created some rare cocos, some common cocos, which if J-Dog is still on, thank you, man, for adding that green banner and helping out the very tiny, small common cocos community get their official banner and become official. Maybe we can get on what the fuck next, but we'll see how that goes. So yeah, creating coco memes as well, which is a new meme that we're hoping can gain some traction. Kind of started by Kiro, and looks like we have rares and commons now. And what else? Let's see. Oh, as far as stamps, with what I'm doing there, I'm involved with the arts page as well as the stamp directory. We're doing some big things with that directory, so pretty excited about that. We're going to be attempting to create a DAO, a token, the stamps art directory, looking into potentially physical books for that, maybe live events, who knows? I'm not sure how crazy we want to get with it, but we got a solid team for that. But I continue to create on Counterparty as well. I have plenty of Pepe Commons, and I recently submitted my first fake rare, and that got approved, so I'm pretty excited about that. I got another one that's approved, but those damn burn cards are expensive and hard to get a hold of. So,
well, congrats, man. That's a nice one.
Thanks, man. I wanted to do get the first one, or the second one dropped first, because it was actually approved for the Beeple Winter Wonderland digital gallery event on December 16th. So I thought having it in fake rares before that event takes place on December 16th would be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, not going to stop from here.
Tell me about that Beeple thing. I didn't quite understand. I saw your tweet about it, but I didn't quite understand what's actually happened there. Tell me about that.
Yeah, man, I actually just saw it on Twitter. Like, Beeple posted that he was going to be doing an art gallery. I think it's one of the Carolinas. I can't remember, South Carolina or North Carolina. And they have like this massive digital gallery event, I guess, with screens everywhere, with a bunch of digital art with a Winter Wonderland theme. And what's interesting is I had already created that rare that fake Pepe, and I was just waiting to figure out what I was going to do with it. I was like, oh well, it fits the theme. Why not sub it? It's a long shot, but whatever. And I submitted it, and it got approved. And I guess all of the art that gets approved for this Beeple Winter Wonderland event will be displayed on digital screens on December 16th in this massive digital gallery in one of the Carolinas. I can't remember. And you get an invite and everything.
South Carolina, yeah.
South Carolina, thank you.
South Carolina.
Yeah, and you get an invite and everything, and I'm not gonna be able to make it, but I think
Dude, you gotta go, man. Come on, dude.
I know. I really wish I could make it, but hey, it's an honor to even have the art and the card displayed there. So to have it in fakes and be displayed at the event is going to be cool for sure.
Very cool.
What's up, Kane?
Well, I'm just saying, for getting that fake as fuck token burned, have you offered to trade for Hot Tub? I find Hot Tub to be a very effective currency in fakes. If you are offering Hot Tub, someone typically steps up to the plate.
Get that hot tub. Get the hot tub. What's up, J-Dog?
Oh, well, a little while ago, you were talking about Vegas and strippers and early tokens. And I just wanted to mention to Davis, I'm not sure if on your timeline yet you have gone down the rabbit hole. I don't remember what the token name is. I'll spend some time trying to look it up. But there was a guy early in the Counterparty who had a strip club in Vegas, and the idea was he was selling this token for like $4,000 or $5,000, and it would always get you entry into the strip club back door or whatever. And he was like chatting with me about building some app to like scan at the door and whatnot. So I'll go through my history and see if I can find what the name of that is, and then you can go down that rabbit hole.
Well, J-Dog, when you did some of your first stamps, I think were an ode to the stripper. Was that in some way tied to that original Counterparty token?
No. I just like
that's just you just like
one of my favorite games back in the day. So I like their strippers. They spoke to me when I was a young kid, so I figured they needed to live on Bitcoin.
Wait, what game was that those are from?
Duke Nukem.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Duke Nukem. Wow, that's a throwback. Yeah, there's also another not safe for work token on there, which is called Blowjob, right? Where you redeem when you get one blowjob, I guess. That's in there somewhere. So a lot of crazy stuff out there. But everyone who's been on stage today over the last hour and a half, dude, appreciate everyone for coming on. This has been an awesome conversation to round out the year of 2023, to remember everything that's going on Counterparty and what's going to happen in the future. It sounds like are some movements, and everyone is going to continue to build as we all celebrate this inevitable Pepe run that is just going to be absolutely rip and melt faces off. So Adam, any final words, man, before we close this up? What you thinking?
It's so awesome. I love, obviously everybody in this space loves Counterparty. We love the history of it. I've been telling people since day one of Ordinals, it's like, this is so good for Counterparty. Like Ordinals itself is so good for Counterparty. Just the awareness of the history of it. The whole idea of historical NFTs, which we were laughed at in 2021, is now completely established. And I think all these new eyeballs that are going to come into crypto and NFTs through Bitcoin, through Ordinals, just always are going to find their way back to Counterparty. And I think it's just, it's amazing, man. It's great to be a part of.
That it absolutely is. Tomorrow we have the Pepe show. So make sure you have fun there. And then on Thursday, we are featuring one of the co-founders of Super Rare, the first NFT art platform on Ethereum. Going to have a lot of fun there. We also show at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, Tuesday through Thursday. And until tomorrow morning, we'll see you on the Twitterverse, and we'll just continually post about Bitcoin and Ordi going up. And so until then, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.